as Lucy said, my name is Byron BeMiller. I'm the chairing the Smart Buildings Work Group, which is really a community of interest of LoRa Alliance members that, really are interested in smart buildings. So these gentlemen here are joining me today because they all have companies that are active in the segment. They're all active in the work group itself, and they're going to share some of their stories as to why they felt LoRaWAN was a good technology for their solutions and what their solutions actually are. So I'm going to kind of, ask each one of them a similar question and let them share their experiences with you. So how many people here are actually LoRa Alliance members, and how many people are not LoRa Alliance members? So only a couple of LoRa Alliance members. Okay, great. So I think the purpose of this panel is twofold. Is one, if you're a LoRa Alliance member, to expose you to what the work group does, and maybe you have some interest in joining and participating. If you're not, expose you to the reasons LoRaWAN is a great connectivity technology for smart buildings. The work group itself has about 75 members on the mailing list and 15 or 20 active participants in our monthly meetings. So with that, I will kind of kick things off here, and I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. But we'll start here with Mike Moran. He can introduce himself. And Mike, if you could tell us a little bit about why Microshare chose LoRaWAN for your solution and what your solutions are and the benefits that they bring to your customer base.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Moran. I'm the CMO and Chief Risk and Sustainability Officer at Microshare. That's a big title because it's a small company. But we have been around for quite some time now in IoT years. And we have a platform play, essentially, in which LoRaWAN is the vital kind of circulatory system of all the data solutions we deploy. So some of it's commercial real estate oriented, from air quality to, we have a cleaning, data-driven cleaning approach. We have something called EverSmart Space, which looks at utilization inside of buildings, which has various uses, energy monitoring. And we also have a very specific suite of things for wellness and ESG. And we create data and automate data feeds and create data feeds that didn't exist before, mostly using LoRaWAN. And the reason we chose LoRaWAN was because of its reliability, its quick adoption. It was very quick to set up the network. It was relatively easy to explain to the non-technical buyer, which we find now, especially after the pandemic has entered our minds and changed our minds so much, be a little less of a technical person. The need and desire and demand for and budget for smart building technology has moved up to the C-suite, and those are not necessarily technologists. So LoRaWAN is a wonderful way to explain to them, listen, it's not going to touch your IT. Your treasury is not going to be connected unless you do something really stupid to the IoT devices, because as we all know, our reputation is insecure. So the fact that you're standing up a standalone network is a really powerful advantage. And then just the fact that we can go into a building, whether it's brand new LEED certified or a 350-year-old British prison built, in the 1700s, and within a day really have it censored up and have a LoRaWAN penetrating all the various elements and spaces in that building that need to be censored. That's a really powerful selling point. And that's probably the best explanation I could give for LoRaWAN.
Great. Do you want to expand on the solutions you offer?
Yeah, so our main solutions are for large commercial real estate, and that could be anything from retail to warehousing to a multifamily or office building. There's a suite called the EverSmart Suite, which I run down. There's EverSmart Clean Air, Space, etc., which really are meant to work together to bring an absolutely holistic view of what's actually happening in your real estate. And it's not just about performance and cost savings, although wonderfully it does that. That's from the standpoint for certain buyers. But it also creates sustainability data, and it creates the ability for you to show that you learned something from the pandemic. You're a build owner. your staff is going to walk in and say, oh, they're paying attention a little bit. They're monitoring their quality. They're telling me how often this bathroom is cleaned. They're, cleaning spaces as they're being used instead of at the end of the day when we all go home. These are run to a conference at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That room has been used to death all day. So ultimately, the idea is to also give the ability to be somewhat interactive, to make the building responsive to the demands of the occupants, which obviously somewhat supercharged by the pandemic. That's a basic, in a nutshell, what we do.
Great, thank you. I think Stefan's going to be our next speaker here. You've got a little different application of LoRaWAN for what you usually offer. So if you could give me a few words as to why you chose it and what you're doing with it.
Yeah, so my name is Stefan Lindgren. I'm the CTO of Talkpool, and we are providing energy optimization services and air quality services in the buildings, mainly commercial, real estate, and offices. And what we are typically doing is that we go in large buildings and then we do optimization of the buildings. We are connecting the existing infrastructure, the connecting BMS, building management system, with all the kind of sensors and actuators in the building. But usually that is too little in order to do an optimization of the building. You have too little information of the building. So then we are doing the LoRaWAN network, and then we are putting up a carbon dioxide sensor, radon sensor, or temperature humidity sensors in order to get enough information from the building, how it's used when people are in the conference room or when people are in the office landscape. And then we're running an AI optimization algorithm in order to see how we can run the building most efficiently for the coming 15 minutes. And doing all the kind of optimization of airflows, forward temperatures, or etc. Of it. And I asked, it's kind of the same reasons as Mike pointed out, that it is so easy to integrate, it's so easy to deploy in existing built environment, that you can, this is something you can just attach to it externally. And also that it is not affecting the IT, or it is very touchless for the customer. We can do everything for them to achieve this for them. We also do quite a lot of sub-metering. We are doing sub-metering in about 6,000 apartments there. And there we have a legacy of using wireless M-Bus. And comparing using LoRaWAN towards wireless M-Bus or wired M-Bus, it is a huge difference in the cost of the infrastructure, in the cost of deploying infrastructure for it with wired or wireless M-Bus compared to LoRa. So we are making huge savings and can be a lot more competitive on the market with LoRa compared to wireless M-Bus.
Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, that illustrates a couple of key points here. I think LoRaWAN, you can have multiple customer bases for it. A LoRaWAN-based solution you could sell to the actual tenant. You could sell to the facility management company. You could sell to the building owner. Just depends on what your solution really is. And it can run independently of the building management system or be integrated into the building management system, depending on what you offer. So our last speaker, I don't know if you need Mike there. Okay. Our last panelist here will be Lyubo from MClimate. And similar question, if you could speak a little bit about why you chose LoRaWAN and what you're doing with it and the benefits to your customers.
Thank you. I still remember the day when my hardware CTO came to me and said, I found this great technology called LoRa. And we researched the topic. The fact is that back then, LoRaWAN as a protocol was not as developed. But we did some prototypes, we did some measurements, and were astonished by the range and the battery consumption that we had. And interestingly, first we developed our own custom protocol on top of LoRa, which was a very big mistake. because some customers actually like this protocol, and now we have like 2 lines of products, one with our custom protocol and the other one with LoRaWAN. Me personally, I prefer the LoRaWAN protocol way better. First, we're not investing any effort into the development, apart from just being part of the alliance and giving feedback from the field. And second, because the LoRaWAN protocol, in my opinion, it's very well thought out. It's there are obviously limitations. You cannot run CCTV with it, but that's fine. But the upside for customers and the scalability of the solutions is just amazing. I'm going to give you an example. My company, we started back in 2014. We started with the idea of about a smart home, and now we have pivoted it a couple of years ago, focused only on smart building. Some of the products that I'm right now selling, I could not sell them if LoRaWAN was not there. And an example for this is actually 3 separate companies from 3 separate countries trying to tackle the same problem, which is intelligent heating. Those companies have been trying to implement intelligent heating, retrofitting old radiators with smart radiator thermostats, connecting them to the internet in order to save money and to bring more comfort. They've been trying to solve this for a couple of years with different technologies, Z-Wave, Zigbee, but the problem has been always the same. First, the range, and second, the battery life. And here, my company comes with a LoRaWAN thermostat that can offer about 10 years of lifetime, and you don't have to install a gateway every 20 meters. In smart buildings, depending on the size of the building, we always recommend 2 gateways, just out of redundancy reasons. But the fact is that even 1 gateway could manage, let's say, an 8 stories building. About the solutions that we have, so we don't service actually, we're a product company. We develop hardware and software products. We develop it in Europe, in Bulgaria, a small country, and we also manufacture it locally in some amazing high-tech manufacturing facilities. We do a couple of verticals. So first, we do the software. We have an IoT platform that is used to manage large fleets of buildings. And this platform actually came to existence after the hardware products. The problem that we saw with LoRaWAN was that everybody, when they received one of our products, then they had to implement it, they had to integrate it, into whatever platform. And the issue there was that most of the platforms out there actually service very well sensors. But my company is focused more on actuators, things that can not only tell you what is the consumption, but also affect it so that we can save energy. So we had to create our own platform. We also have a mobile application, which is used by tenants in multifamily buildings. So the facility manager or whoever we sell the solution to uses the enterprise, the IoT platform, and then they just give rights to the owners of the apartments, so they can access only their devices. And then in terms of solutions, we have heating optimization, where we have a really unique product. It's a small radiator thermostat that replaces your old thermostat and saves on average, about 30 to 35% of the energy. Second, we have air quality solution, which is basically a CO2 sensor, obviously relevant around the COVID. And third, we have a solution for controlling and also sensing water. This is very cool. Sold a lot to people who had floods and had to pay tens of thousands of euros to fix their buildings. So there is a sensor that senses flood, and there's also a water valve that can turn on or off the water supply. And this valve is being used also for pre-built water usage. And yeah, the last solution is called automation, and we have some really add-ons like a button that can do whatever, like an open-close sensor. And yeah, that's pretty much it, what we do.
Thank you. I know this is a very short panel, so I see I've only got 1 minute left here, so I'll just make a couple of closing remarks. If this is a area of interest of you and you'd like more information, I'd encourage you to go to the LoRa Alliance website. There's a specific area for smart buildings under the vertical market section. There's some documents published there with use cases. The work group itself does white papers, publishes white papers every once in a while. We usually do a couple webinars a year, which are online and available for on-demand viewing. So, there's a lot of information out there on this. And I know myself, I've been involved with the work group for probably the last, since the beginning of the work group, for about the last 4 years. And I've seen just a tremendous growth in the adoption of LoRaWAN in the space. So I think we've just got a couple minutes for any questions that you might have.
Yes, if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand. I'll hand you the microphone. We do have time for questions.
Good. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your attention.
And starting shortly will be an interview with the inventors of LoRaWAN. If you're available to stay, this should be a really interesting conversation. Thank you all for coming.
Hey, and if at 3:15 you're not doing anything, I'll be hosting on the Baked stage with Microsoft and CBRE, and we'll get into a little more depth about why LoRaWAN has enabled such things that we couldn't have imagined years ago. Thanks.
Can I also say one extra thing? We're doing a raffle, a tombola, giving away 26 devices because we're celebrating being present in 26 countries. So if you come to booth 27, just scan a QR code, enter your name and email. You have a chance to win, a pretty high chance, I would say, this is 26 devices, to win a free radiator thermostat. Thank you.